Where's the music?
All right. Welcome to another episode of the Rey and Nev Show. How you doing, Nev?
I'm good. Honestly, it feels like we took no time off.
For real. It looks like we did it. So truth be told, so we have some guests on the show. Yeah. And it's gonna get hot tonight.
Yeah.
It's gonna get hot tonight. Words were said, beef was started, and this is a real estate show. And we usually don't have.
I don't even know.
I mean, we're gonna start throwing punches. So welcome once again to Rey and Nev Show. It's been a long time. It's been almost a year. Actually, we calculated it was a year. Where did we calculate that? We calculated in the last podcast. And the last episode you're never going to see because somebody didn't hit the record button. I'm not going to say who it was, but
there's
probably
only one keyboard on the
I don't know. The keyboard is
there's only one person.
the keyboard is over there. So obviously we know who it was. We know it was me. So let's eliminate that. Let's eliminate the elephant in the room. Let's jump right into it, man. So let's introduce our guest.
Yeah.
So without further ado, we have Mr. Alexander Acosta. Alex, go ahead and tell them a little bit about yourself and what you're doing here with us.
Well,
today.
This is my first time on podcast.
No, this is the second time, really.
Oh, second time? Oh, yeah, it's the second time.
Yeah, the first one didn't get recorded.
This is your first rodeo.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, and I've been here in La Rosa 2 months, and it's been amazing. It's gonna be, this is like pleasure. I haven't felt this 2 months.
All right, awesome. And next to him, we have Mr. Josh Gowar, the man, the myth, the legend in lending. Talk to us, man. What's going on? What's going on with you today?
Oh, I'm doing awesome, Ray. Thank you so much for inviting me to be a guest on this amazing podcast today.
It's amazing right now. Okay, continue.
Love it. It was awesome 15 minutes ago, too.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Were we on for 15 minutes?
We had some technical difficulties.
It could not have not been 15 minutes. It could have not been 15 minutes.
But it's just been my pleasure to serve everyone in this office as well as any potential clients and anyone that needs help in lending. It's just my pleasure to serve you and your family.
Awesome. Thank you for being on the show. All right, let's get the show started for the second time. So truth be told, since we're gonna have to shoot some shots right now, I actually was gonna hit the button, but Josh interrupted me, and that's why I wasn't able to hit the button. So that's what caused you missing out on the amazing first 15 minutes of the podcast. Just want to let you know that. With that being said, let's get into it. All right. So what were we talking about? I forgot.
We were talking about
I'm so frustrated right now.
Things. I don't even know where we want to start at.
What was
now.
our recap of 2023?
Yes, that's what it was. Thank you so much,
Josh.
Josh.
Recap of 2023.
So
I'll do it. We had an amazing year in 2023. While other offices were, it was a little tighter over there. We didn't really feel that here, right?
Yeah, not at all.
We had great numbers. We had great top producers. We did. Well, how many families did we help this year?
This year we did over 600 plus, almost 700, which was crazy.
Families.
Yeah, it's one of the best years that we had compared to last year. We went up about 40% year over year.
Yeah.
The market declined about 22%, and we were above that, and we did an additional 20% just for fun.
Exactly. And on top of that, you said something. The market, we joined a new market.
Yes. So we were talking about how, the market has now balanced out, and we kind of like it because we had the biggest shift we've ever had in history. The biggest thing about that is that now people got to work. Agents got to come out here and they got to put in the work.
And
it's not as easy. It's not as easy as it used to be, though. If you think about it, right? Like we used to list a property back pre-COVID and post-COVID, and it would fly off the shelf.
Like one day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Multiple offers. We still get some of those like that, but not every property is going through that. Some properties you got to put in the work. So.
Absolutely. And so when I was saying a new market, I wasn't even talking about that, but I'm glad you touched on it. But I was thinking about something else.
What were you thinking about?
Stock market.
What about the stock market?
We're publicly traded.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's true. We are a publicly traded. I didn't know we were going to talk about publicly. So, yes. So, La Rosa. It is a great highlight. I didn't even think about that, right?
Yeah.
See, if we would have done the 15 minutes, at that point, I'm going to be honest with you. In those 15 minutes, if we would have played that, we didn't even talk about that.
Yeah.
So obviously we became a publicly traded company. We became the other camera.
Yeah.
This one right here. All right. So there we go. Which should be good. Hopefully, we don't have
There we
any
go.
technical difficulties. But yeah, so we became a publicly traded company this year, which I think is an amazing feat. We've been working on it for 2 years. The first and only so far publicly traded company in the state of Florida in real estate.
Oh wow.
And we have other companies that will try to follow suit, obviously. But one thing I will say about us that gives us the edge over everyone else is not that we went public first, is that the principles and standards and goals that we have as a company are bar none some of the best, and our culture is bar none a culture that everybody tries to emulate and can't actually duplicate. So that being said, you're a lender. You've been to other offices. You can say something about this. I mean, you've been to some offices. I want you to be honest. Yeah,
we're talking
and-
about other offices in terms of your network or outside, or just us?
No, complete as a whole. Like, you've been to other real estate companies' offices and you've been to ours. And based on that, what do you see that's different from our office compared to other offices?
I mean, I would say the most noticeable thing right out the gates is that at most other offices I go to, there's almost no agents inside the offices.
Yeah, that's typical.
I mean, that's.
I mean, there's offices that are completely virtual for a reason. I mean, they suck. But go ahead, continue.
I mean, that's one aspect of it, is because also I see in your office that your whole office is almost like a unit. Like, yes, you have like people going here and going there, but your office is very much like a unit, very much like centralized, very like centralized communication between everyone.
Oh yeah.
Very, very family-like.
Awesome.
Exactly. All right, you put the gun down now.
Yeah, don't shoot it.
We did not force him to give that answer, but
No, not at all, not at all. And he is not a paid actor, just so you know. Like there is in
we
other.
don't pay well here.
Not for acting, not for acting. We pay well for real estate, but not for acting. So,
Factually.
so that being said, another thing we talked about is when's the best time to own real estate?
When's the best time to own real estate?
Yeah.
When's the best time to own real estate, Alex?
All the
You
time.
need it.
All the time.
When when the best time to own real estate is? When you need somewhere to live.
Yeah.
When do you not need somewhere to live?
100% every time.
Oh yeah.
Every single day of your life you need that.
Yep.
Because if not, you're living on the streets.
There's two things
That's
you need.
reality.
You need a roof over your head and you need food.
That's it.
There you go.
Absolutely.
And hopefully you get to eat your food under your roof. So
I agree. I agree 100%.
that's a blessing.
What
But-
about
Go ahead.
Josh? What about you?
Well, I was going to say another thing we were talking about precast. There was a huge shift.
That was the practice. That was the practice.
That was the practice one. Okay.
Practice
Well,
one,
something else we were talking about
Warm up.
in 2023, how that it was kind of it was a rough, maybe not for this office, but for a lot of other offices and lots of lenders out there, it was very rough because rates went up dramatically so much last year compared to during COVID and even somewhat post COVID.
Do you remember how many shifts did we have? Like, we had a couple. How many
Like
increases?
4, I think.
4, or I think it was more like 5 or 6.
It was something like it was 4 or 5.
Yeah,
something like
it was
that.
high. I mean, and it was going up a quarter point. It was
Yeah.
going up almost a half a
Sometimes
point,
50 basis points. Yeah.
which is horrible. I mean, a lot of people don't understand. Can you touch on that? Like, what
well,
is
to kind of reframe what you're talking about is the interest rates.
correct interest
Mhm.
rates? Yeah, touch on that. Like, what does that do for a lender when it goes up 50 basis points?
I mean, when it goes up like that, I mean, it's also like a much deeper than that, because then it's the whole bond market, and the whole bond market is going to impact lenders, and then how lenders are purchasing rates basically. But when it shifts so much like that, I mean, it's causing the entire market to just go
Yeah.
because like it's just like buying anything. It's like except you're buying huge quantities. It's like wholesale. So like you're used to buying something for like $1, and now it goes up $1.50. Maybe at first you'll be like, oh, it's not that bad, and then all of a sudden, all over time, it's like the tomato is now like, it shifts in wholesale by 30%, but now on the retail side it goes up.
Who does it go to?
Exponentially?
Where does that? Who takes the biggest hit there?
Consumer.
The consumer. And the same thing would happen in lending as well, right? So
Absolutely.
and a lot of it has to do with, when that rate goes up, right? And when lenders borrow, they borrow money from the reserve from the money market accounts. And what happens is when that money goes up, right? There's that kind of like that margin of profit. and the lender doesn't want to lose that margin. So what the lender would do is they would raise their rates
Yep.
to be able to shift to still make the same profit, but now they have to increase the percentage based on the fact that they want to make the same amount of money or close to it. Because think about it like this, and this is real life, right? Like when you own and operate a business, you have a certain amount of expenses, and as you grow, you add to those expenses. And then if you shift the market like this, well, you can't deny that you still have to pay those expenses
Yep.
because you increased them. You didn't know that shift was going to affect you by much, right? That's why, like I said, I mean, I'm not calling nobody out, but since we're going to call this the calling out episode, there's a company.
Calling out.
I'm not going to mention the company, but there's a company out there that literally saw what was happening. They are huge in the refi market, and they decided to open up a real estate company because they knew they were losing a ton of business on the refi side, right? Like it went from getting 20 to 30 to 50 to 100 applications a month of refinance to literally going down to almost 2 to 3. And when it did that,
Wow.
obviously, I think the gentleman is really smart because then he says, well, let me go into another market. And he has the money to do so. So big, props to him. I give him credit
I have a question.
for going into the market that obviously
I know who
still
it
makes
is.
money. Well, we all know who
I
it
think
is.
we all know who it is.
Yeah.
But so my question is, how does that affect the consumer? Like I know it affects the consumer the most, but what is the consumer feeling because of all these shifts?
So I mean, so like going back into like COVID and even somewhat past COVID, I mean like rates were at an all-time low. Like COVID was a black swan event. It like never happens. It happens like once every couple hundred years, and that caused rates to just shoot to the lowest they've ever been in the history of mankind, essentially. And then so when rates got super low, it kind of conditions the American people to be kind of like, oh, it's like once you have a price for something, for anything, for like 6 months or longer, people get conditioned to paying that price.
Correct. And it becomes a habit like, oh, that's what I'm going to pay.
Yep.
Like, and that's my interest rate. That's amazing. So go ahead.
So then once the market starts shifting and then once we got into like last year where rates just went up and up and up and up, so many consumers that had qualified at these super low rates during COVID and slightly post-COVID, all of a sudden could no longer qualify. And then also, even from my point of view,
Is that because the rates went up or because rates and prices were going up at the same time?
Rates, prices, insurance, I mean, everything across the board just skyrocketed. So that caused so many people that were qualifying before to now become disqualified. And then also
or they would just qualify for a lesser price, which means they're out of the market because that price is no longer available.
That's
true. That's what happened on our side.
But
that's the way we saw it.
And then also we just had this humongous inventory scarcity across America and in Florida as well.
Yeah.
So then also what was actually available was maybe not, maybe those people that could only qualify for a lower amount, maybe just wasn't available.
Yeah, and not only that, what happens would be, so like, for example, let's say that demographic dropped by a tremendous amount. Now, the issue that you're going to have is that, you have, okay, well, I was qualified for 3. Now the rates went up. Now I'm down to 2. And there's only 4 houses at that price, but there's 100 buyers.
Yep.
And then how do you fulfill those orders? You can't fulfill those orders. So it was causing a problem.
And then on another aspect is like, when you have the investor or the sophisticated investor that's maybe not always paying cash, that actually wants, to let his money work for him, who wants to, finance, some of those investors that are still sophisticated, they're like, oh, well, rates are kind of high right now. I don't know if I want to go out there and acquire as many properties as I did, say, in 2019, 2020, 2021.
Yeah, and that was huge because you had a lot of the big Wall Street investors doing it. Blackstone bought a bunch of property. Yep. They have a huge. I think their portfolio is above $3 trillion.
Yeah, it's like one of the biggest corps.
It's the huge one.
Yeah.
It's the biggest one out of all. I'll tell you a funny story.
I wonder how that adds up. How that compares to McDonald's. That's just a random thought, though.
No. So I'll tell you this. It compares. In comparison, there's a difference because
one's commercial and one's acquiring residential.
It is.
And understand this. A McDonald's.
For people who don't know, McDonald's is one of the largest real estate holding companies in the world.
Oh yeah.
In the world.
But for commercial properties.
Commercial.
Yeah.
And the biggest issue with that you have to understand is that even though commercial is dwindling in the sense, McDonald's has always been a pull-up type of establishment. They've never been a delivery establishment. So they're always going to be busy. and they strategically build exactly where they need to be
Mhm.
for the most amount of traffic.
Yep.
So they're willing to pay top dollar, and their properties, if they sell, become top dollar properties as well.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I'll tell you a funny story in regards to what you said in regards to scarcity in the market. I was scared one day, and I'll explain to you what scared me. So I had a customer. Customer called me up. He's like, "Hey, I want to buy a house." I said, "Okay, no problem." I was getting ready to transfer him to one of my team members, and I said, "Let me see what's available for this guy." Right. So he wants it. He wants to be in 32824. Right. So because he wants to be in 32824, one of the biggest things that I saw was, go ahead, give me 1 second, guys. So one of the things that I saw that was crazy, was he wants to be in that zip code. I typed the zip code into the MLS. One property on the market in the whole zip code.
What was that?
32824. This was in 2020.
Oh, that's like Metal Woods area.
Yeah, and I was like, "Holy smoke! This is crazy. This is huge. This is huge." So when I looked at inventory at that point, our whole inventory was below, I want to say, maybe 10,000 properties.
What year was that?
2020, right after COVID.
I remember one time I went to an open house in Winter Springs in 2020.
60 people.
And like there was literally like I got there like right at like 10 a.m. There was like 50 people in there. Like
Wow.
they said they had like 12 offers as soon as it hit the market.
Yeah. No, it's crazy.
We would stand in lines just to show a house.
Yep.
I would tell my buyers, hey, if you want to see a house, we have to be there at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be the first person in line to show this house.
And I would tell them, I'll be like, "Look, why don't we do this? Let's write up the offer. You like the photos, let's write up the offer.
Yeah.
And let's go view it." Because the thing is, if you like it, we'll send the offer. Because I'm telling you right now, we're already going to compete. I'm telling you, we got to fight. We got to fight for it.
Yeah, and you know what created that?
Well, the frenzy.
Scarcity, low interest rates,
Mhm.
and people spending so much time in their homes that they realize, I don't like where I live.
Mhm.
I need to change. That's
Probably
right.
Yeah, no,
point.
and,
It's a
and
valid
not only
point.
that, you got people that were like up north, like New York City. You got people in Chicago.
Yeah.
They were like, "Bro, this COVID thing is serious. I'm living too close to my neighbor.
Mhm.
Like his door's right next to
Mhm.
mine. It could seep over to me. I'm moving."
So
And they were getting. I mean, if you sell your apartment in New York for $1 million,
Oh yeah.
Oh,
You're gonna
yeah,
get
you
an
gotta
amazing
match
house
it.
here.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
at that time, 350 was a good price.
that was a great house.
Also in Florida compared to New York, taxes are so
Taxes
much
so much
less.
Yeah.
So a lot of my clients, I'm gonna be honest, in that time I sold 0 homes to an investor, right? But I did cash deals. And all of them were people who had a house in a different state like Chicago, New York, or California, and sold their house for $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 and came down here with $500,000 to buy it cash.
Yep.
Wow.
And it was just the equity that they gained over the years. These were the buyers that first time home buyers were competing with and just couldn't match them.
And people were buying them like over where they were having the same scarcity that we were having here.
Yeah.
So people were
Well,
still
let me
buying
ask-
at the higher
Let me
price.
ask you Ray, one question. You're more on this business for a long time. What do you think is going to happen to Orlando in a couple of years?
I think Orlando will be another metropolitan within the next, I would say,
18 months.
I would give
take
you less than that.
I
think so?
think less than a year.
Less than
Really?
a year.
So just understand this,
I
right?
would
So
do that.
currently right now, there's over, I want to say 60 permitted projects of commercial properties that are being built to make us a metropolitan city. So number one is you've got these are the biggest ones. So you've got the packing district. So the packing district, that's easily a $2 billion project. They're building anywhere from.
Where's that at?
It's right down here in College Park. They're building a ton of apartment complexes, townhomes. Townhomes are starting at 400,000.
Oh yeah.
A
You know,
lot of
and-
mixed use.
A lot of mixed use housing.
They're doing a
Florida,
lot of
what's-
apartments.
the
everywhere.
Fashion Square
What's
Mall.
going on in Lake Nona?
Well, that's the next one. I mean, Lake Nona's been like that for years, but now, okay. So anybody that doesn't know the story about Lake Nona, just so you understand, guys, Lake Nona, this is an investment group, kind of like us, 4 guys sitting down and playing
Yep.
around with an idea of let's build this to be the next best city.
Yep.
And they wanted to rank it up, and it was a company called Tavistock, and they decided to get the group together. They started to get investors, and they started to build, and they started to create criterias of who can build there, what you can build.
Yep.
And you can build like if you go to Lake Nona right now, you're gonna see apartment buildings. They got to be luxury. You're gonna see big homes.
Builder
You're
communities.
not gonna see little communities. You're
Mhm.
not gonna see small homes
Oh.
communities. You're gonna see
What's
mansions.
the lowest price right now?
And Lake Nona's 400,
Yeah,
and that's townhomes.
That's like mid 400s.
Yeah, mid
to high
400s,
400s.
450.
Yeah,
Mids.
it's gonna be
But
nice, right?
the average single family home, 600 easy.
Yeah.
Easy. I mean, I know a builder.
So I have a friend.
I was gonna say I know a builder out there, and like the cheapest home they build is like $700K.
So
Yeah.
who
yeah,
remembers in
it's
2017 anyone saying I live in Lake Nona?
no one.
Nobody.
Who remembers in 2018 anyone even going over?
Maybe some
No,
maybe some
no.
nurses or something like that.
Do you know
Not even close because remember, Medical City was being built.
that was being built? You know what Lake Nona was at that time?
A lot of cow farms.
It was a cow farm and one strip of road that people
Yeah,
used to
Narcoossee.
race cars.
Yeah.
That was it.
Everybody would race down Lake Nona because ain't nobody there. Cops ain't gonna
Cops
go there.
weren't even out there. It was literally just a strip of road in between two farms.
You want to hear?
Lake
something
Nona's
crazy?
like mini Dubai.
Pretty much.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. This is the funny part. You could go right down the road. Okay, if you're not like, oh, I gotta live in Lake Nona. You can go right past Narcoossee and
Yeah.
Boggy Creek Road into St. Cloud.
Mm-hmm.
Less than a mile.
First
in.
community name is Turtle
Creek.
Is the first community you're gonna hit.
Right
But
off
that's
the
off of
turnpike?
192. That's
Yeah,
192.
it's 190.
But off of here is like Mystic Creek, Magic Landings, and all that. You get a house in there for like $200,000 cheaper than Lake
Yeah.
Nona, which is great. It's great.
You know why?
And you're like
Is that
5
where you
minutes from
live?
Lake Nona.
Is that where you live?
No, I do not.
You know why? I know Turtle Creek so well? That was my very first listing.
I live in Wyndham Lakes. Since you want the crowd to know, I'm
I'm
saying.
not allowed to ask any questions. I mean,
But I
Mr. Winter Park.
I asked that question about Lake Nona, right? To say, who remembers Orlando in 2017? What was happening in Orlando in 2017? What was being built in Orlando in 2017?
How much?
Nobody can name a single project from 2017 right now, right? And we've all lived in Orlando past
Oh,
that.
I wasn't.
I mean-
I wasn't here. In
Oh, you wasn't
2000.
2017? Okay, you weren't here.
I think the only time that I saw the boom was, 2006 to 2008
Mhm.
before the crash. That's the only time I remember Orlando having a boom. 2017 was a kind of rebounding. So as we were rebounding, people were still buying houses cheap.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like we were in a booming economy in the sense that people were not just, people weren't just buying major homes or we were we were being flooded with a ton of people.
I'll tell you,
I don't think until 2020. Because think about it like this.
The biggest thing that happened in 2017 was the Orlando Eye. On
Yeah.
I-5.
That's it.
That was it. That was the only thing. Now, you look at it, what's happened from last year to this year?
Just traffic.
It'll take us all day to fill a sheet out.
Yeah.
Like, we could just keep going.
Just
front
think
and
about
back. And
Paramore's has been completely renovated and it's continued to be
Paramore is
renovated.
luxury apartments
Yeah.
with luxury restaurants at the bottom of it. Or
He
close
went
to
at-
luxury restaurants.
just a chicken was like $36.
Bro,
What?
Yeah.
What?
I ordered a steak with fries, and that was about, what, $30? Steak, fries.
A
$30.
little piece of steak. Just
Now,
small
was it
piece of
good?
steak.
Absolutely. Would I go back for it? Probably.
What restaurant
it was
was
that
this?
good. What's the name of that restaurant?
I don't even remember.
It starts
Something
with an
kitchen.
M. No, it starts with an M.
F&D kitchen?
No, it's not.
No,
It's
modern.
modern.
No,
Moderna?
not modern.
Moderna? No, that's in
No.
like Nona.
No, I think it's modern.
No, it's
Modern?
something.
We'll post it later.
The Monroe.
Monroe.
The Monroe
Oh, okay.
is what it is. It's the Monroe. So that's there.
I thought
Now-
that was downtown.
They have one downtown as well.
Okay.
So, but now, if you listen to music, Orlando's mentioned in songs now.
Yeah.
This is a destination. People are coming. And for people who listen to rap music, I don't know, my man said, first stop Tory. He was like, Orlando, first stop Tory.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm never going back to that place because it's going to be packed.
That's on Colonial.
That's right there in Colonial. Have you ever been?
Yeah, I've been a bunch of times.
The vibe
Have
is
you been?
amazing.
No.
Have you been?
Yeah.
All right, this
What
is a
song was
shameless
this?
plug. Tory, honestly, is probably top 5 places to go in Orlando.
No, not
Food?
that high.
What? For food and drinks? Not for a whole meal. But you're talking
You're
to
getting
somebody.
good tapas.
You're going to have good
the
service.
culture, the atmosphere.
You're going to get a good drink. You're
Where
going to
is it
get
at?
good food.
It's
It's right here on
it's
Mills.
down the street.
Colonial Mills.
Colonial Mills.
Oh.
Colonial Mills, yeah.
Kabuki.
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 Again,
Kabuki.
another one. That's another one.
I think, isn't that a Michelin's though?
I think
No.
There's not a Michelin 3-star. The only
It might
one
be.
that
No,
think,
there's
Tory-
there's one in College Park.
Tory is Michelin though.
You're,
Yeah,
you're thinking
Tory.
about Cadence. That's what you're
Cadence. Yeah.
But I'm just saying all that
That's
to say that in less than a year, we are going to be a destination. We already are a destination.
We're already a
Oh,
destination.
yeah.
And,
I mean,
and I'm not talking about for Disney.
We've been a
Orlando is a
destination. No,
destination
we've been a
itself.
destination for years
Yeah.
for Disney. Now we're known for other things
For
as
other
well.
things, yeah.
So it makes us, at this point, it just makes us that much of a better place to come live. Because remember, I used to call Florida God's waiting room because people would
That's what
retire.
it was.
All the older people.
People
this
would
time around.
retire
Yeah.
and move here. You know what I'm saying?
But
All the
now,
older people are gonna boycott me. Listen, don't hate me for the truth. I'm just saying. But there's one topic that I did want to touch on. That's the topic of today because this is important that we let our consumers out there know, right? So one of the things that we started to notice to happen about a few years ago, and we were already ahead of the curve there, is we started feeling like solar panels were really screwing things up for the consumer,
yes.
right? So the average home sells between 5 to 7 years. Okay, so you buy a home,
Mhm.
you live in it for about 5 to 7 years, and you decide you want to move. Okay, so what happens is here's where the issue starts to begin. Okay, you buy a property, you get a knock on the door, and somebody says, "Hey, I want to sell you some solar panels," and they lie to you into buying those solar
Or they say
panels.
you're never going to have an electric bill again.
You're never gonna have an electric bill. That's lie number one. That's myth number one. Number two, it increases the value of your home. That's a myth.
You're going to get a tax credit.
Well, is that a myth, or do you
I don't
actually get that credit?
I have no idea.
I think you get the credit. You just
You get
have
the
to
credit.
do it. You have to
You
do
have
it.
to do it.
They make it sound like the things never break.
Yeah, and that's not true. So there's so many other things that happen that are just detrimental to the purchasing of a home when you decide you want to sell. You're like, what? I can't sell because of this, and that. And we're going to be talking about other real estate companies that we actually can mention that
And
have done bad things, but that's going to be
and so many
subject.
loan complications and financing complications.
Absolutely, 100%.
Especially even if it was a home where maybe they didn't get everything tied up with the solar panel company before they moved, and then you have someone, the previous owner owned the solar panels, and
Well, I'll give you another issue with that. They tell you that it's transferable when it's not.
Mhm.
So sometimes the ugly truth that you get is that you have to now pay the solar panels off.
So it comes
And it's
on-
not
so
cheap.
when they sell the house, they have to
Pay
clear
them
that
off.
debt.
yeah.
Oh
So-
my god!
Here goes the thing. It's a play on words, right? Transferable. What does that mean?
It doesn't.
It's transferable if you qualify for
The
this
debt, the debt.
If you
No, but that's
qualify
what
to
I'm
take this
saying.
loan.
Some of these you can't even transfer at all.
Wow.
There's a couple that I couldn't even transfer. And that's what we're going to talk about the loan for today. One of the loans that's out there. I mean, it's not a lender loan. So understand that,
This isn't the guy to be mad
this
at.
isn't the
Yeah.
guy that's going to be.
He's not doing it. He's not
I
doing
appreciate
it.
that.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
I'm not on this panel today because
He was-
I'm the one starting the trouble.
He
now.
was scared. He was scared that because we're going to have him on the show and we're going to talk about this, that you guys would think that he would be one of the guys.
Hey, Josh, you
He
want to be
is-
on a podcast
he
today?
is not-
We're talking about a loan program that's screwing over half of Florida.
Yes, exactly. So we're going to talk about that. And Neville's going to go ahead and read some of the key points on that. We got this from the Tampa Times, by the way. But what I will say is, let's go over those myths, right? So myth number one is obviously it'll give you
No electric bill.
no electric bill. So number one, electric bill. No, the way it works is based on the wattage that you get. Okay, if you get the right amount of wattage, which is usually lesser than what they sell you, and you get a battery cell, yes, the electric bill can be a reality. But 90% of solar sales do not have a battery backup. So that's problem number one. Myth number two, it increases your value. Okay. The only time an appraiser accounts for the solar panels is if you pay off the solar panels. So the solar panels need to be paid off before he can account for them as part of the value of increasing the value of your home. But then problem number two is the amount that it'll increase. A lot of people think, well, it'll increase by 20, 30, 40, 50%. No, it's only going to increase by about 2 to 3%, 4% at the most I've seen. So once again, that myth is a horrible myth and it affects the livelihood of our consumer. So if you're a consumer out there and you're thinking about getting solar panels, reach out to one of us. You've got Alex, you've got Neville, you've got myself. We will go ahead and help you, and we'll give you our numbers at the end of this, and we'll also put it down below in the comment section. So that's myth number two. Myth number three
They never break.
is they never break. Oh my God, that is such a myth. And here's the problem with that. when they do break, right? Most of the people that install them are independent contractors. And those independent contractors are busy. They've already been paid for the job. So in order for them to come back out, you have to set an appointment. You have to come. You have to be there for that appointment. They have to come and replace the panel. They have to take the panel off, right? The broken one. They have to send it back, get the new panel, and then come back and install it, right? That has a deductible, first of all, so you're going to have to pay that. Number two, one of my customers that we had, the panel broke off during a storm. Wasn't even a hurricane. It was just winds. It wasn't bolted on right, and it fell right off the roof, cracked into pieces, okay? It took him literally almost 8 months to get the panel replaced. Wow. So what happens in those 8 months, right? Electric bill, because one of the panels is not working.
And
but here's the problem.
And you're still paying for it.
Still paying for it. And the connection between the two, what happens is, because that panel broke off, that connection is now. So you have the panel in the middle broke off. So the panels on the side, the two panels, they weren't connected to each other. So you're not getting any energy or electricity in the bottom. So you were paying for it and still paying your full bill. How do you like that?
I don't like that.
Absolutely not. Lastly, one of the biggest problems with solar panels is the type of loan that they give you. Not this guy, but those guys, right? The loan that they give you has what's called an incremental increase. Every single year, it's going to increment and it's going to increase, right? To the tune of, if you started at $100, it can go to the tune of $500 all the way to $1,000 a month. Okay, by the time you finish paying them off, the property, the panel price might have been $30,000. By the time you're done paying, you're at 40 to 50 to 60,000, or worse yet, like one of my customers had, $80,000. Okay, so I don't know where in this conversation that we're having is panels beneficial to you. Okay, on the average, like I said earlier, 7 years is when the typical customer sells their home for whatever reason and buys a new home. That's the average. That's the national average. So usually panels are on the roof and on that loan for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years, depending on what you've done to the house. Now let's go ahead and go over to the worst loan you can get for panels. And for that, I'll let Nev start. What you got, Nev?
So I wanted to actually touch on something you just said, right? So let's talk about the lifetime of a solar panel. They PACE liens were lasting longer than the actual life of the solar panels.
Yeah,
which is horrible. They were putting a loan on your home or on you, basically.
Yep.
That were going to be 30 years on something that was only going to last 20.
What is PACE? I don't think we introduced that yet.
So basically, PACE is a Florida government program that allows low-income homes, which in that case, because of where you are in Florida, that number can fluctuate, for you to go ahead and get panels, and not only panels, but other work done on your home.
Panels, ACs, windows. Would they do roofs?
They do roofs,
yeah.
AC, windows,
electrical as well.
Electrical.
If you need your house to be
new windows, we did say windows,
yeah.
Right?
So they'll do all of that through a PACE loan.
Yeah,
that was basically one of the worst loans you could have, because not only are you going to be paying on a PACE loan, that also affects your tax, how much you're going to be paying your taxes for your home.
Wow. And what type of people do they normally qualify for that type of
low income, which is sad because these people are not being given the right information. They're not listening to their realtors. If they have a realtor, I recommend that you always, anytime you're going to do any improvements to your home, if it's an improvement that you feel you want to get equity from that improvement, right? Because if you're going to build a pool for yourself, that's for yourself, right? You just want a pool.
Yeah.
But if you were like, well, I'm going to do the kitchen because I'm going to sell the house in a year, what kind of value does it add to my home? Go ask your local realtor. Your local realtor is going to help you with that.
Because every realtor you speak to that actually has experience within this industry, when you ask them how much value are my $50,000 solar panels going to add to my home, they're always going to ask you a question. They're going to ask you one question: are they paid off, or are you paying a lease on it? And then that's going to change the answer.
And then they're going to break your heart. They're going to break your heart because even when they're paid off, they're still going to tell you they're less than what you owe on them. So the
average I've seen is maybe on a good day a $20,000 increase.
Yeah,
and that's if it runs the entire house. With
and just remember, that's literally between 3 to 4 to 5% at the most.
Yeah.
Of the value of the home, because the average home is $400,000. So think about that. It's crazy. Wow. 2 to 3%.
$20,000 increase. That's a new kitchen.
I'll give you one. I'll give you one crazy. So
turn on it.
So one of the houses that we did, I think we did this one last year, Winter Haven, 80,000.
Yep.
The panels were
What?
80 grand.
80 grand.
How much the house?
Oh, that's the house was about 4 something.
It sold for 435.
But this is here. You ready for the kicker? We ended up selling the house, and we negotiated for the seller. For the buyer to take over the panels, and they agreed.
Yeah.
That's because our negotiating skills.
Oh,
But think about it like this: most people don't care. Most agents out there that are not really doing this business to help the community, they're gonna go ahead and just let you be like, "Hey, you got to pay those panels."
So on the buy side, anytime I see solar panels, I always call the listing agent, ask them, "Hey, is the seller going to pay for it?" And I always know how much the agent cares about the client when they say, "Yeah, the seller's paying for the panels at closing."
Not realizing that they're about to lose 20, 30, 40.
Yeah.
Literally, these panels stole this money.
Only time
I can't use the word stole because I don't want.
that's a strong word to use.
Yeah,
Still, it's crazy.
but
it drained.
It's legal theft.
It-
It's legal
It
theft.
drained their equity.
It's legal theft.
I've had sellers opt to pay for the solar panels.
Yeah.
And straight up, he said, "I put in these solar panels for one purpose only, and it served a purpose, and I've saved way more than what I paid for it." And in this time, I was like, "What?" I couldn't even believe it. So I'm like, "How much did you pay for these solar panels?" He said $20,000. I said, "There's a battery pack on the side of your house that keeps your house running when all the power goes out, and you only paid 20 grand." He said, "Yeah." Who gave you this loan? Tesla.
So
I said they came and knocked on your door.
not that
for
we're
this.
plugging Tesla, not that we're
it's not a
sponsoring
Tesla,
Tesla.
but
This is not.
I do not even support electric cars. But I will say, he said he went and bought a Tesla, and they said, "How are you going to charge?"
He bought
this
a
car?
Tesla.
But he said
He bought a Tesla car.
He bought a Tesla car.
Tesla car.
And they asked him, "How are you going to charge his car?" And he said, "Oh, this is my house." And then they asked him about his electrical bill, and they said, "Why don't you just get these solar panels? You're going to be paying about $200 less in your electrical bill if you just paid the cost of his solar panels." And he was like, "No, it's way too much." And then they showed him the price for it. It was $20,000. That's with installation.
Yeah. And that's the right way to buy panels. I mean, that's the right way to buy panels. At the end of the day, you're paying $20,000 for $20,000 worth of panels.
Yep.
In most cases, you're paying $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 for $20,000 worth of panels.
Yep.
And Tesla's also a reputable company. Everyone knows them.
Yep.
I'm sure if something breaks, you can
that
probably
process was so smooth.
Smooth process.
Dealing with them was
streamlined.
There was never a reason to call them. You sent an email and it came right back to you.
Yeah.
Exactly. So then
It
I
was
bet if
just
something
fast.
breaks, you could probably reach out to them because it's one-stop shop. 99% of other solar panel companies are all these, like you said, these independent third parties. They come in, they install it, and then when something breaks, you can't get a hold of anyone.
No, I've had customers that they literally the panels got installed and never received a call, or like they don't even have a phone number to call. Like if we have an issue with the panel, hey, I'm like, hey, who do we call? Because we have to get a payoff on your panels to see if you're going to pay for this or if we can get we could transfer it to the buyer. They're like, they never gave me a number. They never gave me anything.
So this guy, after we closed, maybe a month later, I just reached out to him and he said, "Hey, can you let the current owners know that Tesla just notified me that their power is not on? They've been running it just strictly off of the solar panels and battery pack, and you can't do that. Like you're not supposed to be able to do that."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Is that going to mess it up?" He said, "No, it's just that it's going to go to zero tonight. His battery pack is going to go to 0% tonight."
Because he's not getting any juice.
Yeah, so he's like,
on a
at
rainy day and
nighttime,
stuff.
at nighttime, if it was raining that whole day and it went nighttime, you got nothing that day.
You got nothing that day.
So he's like, "I just got a notification." He's like, "Can you just let him know that?" And it looks like it happened a few times. I'm like, "Why haven't they did it?" I called the agent and he said that they haven't even moved into the house yet. That's why. So he's like, they never transferred the power.
Gotcha.
So outside of the glory of Tesla, I mean, what is another huge problem with the PACE program?
The PACE program is a program that allows the customer to borrow more than they need. And so what would happen is now you have a customer that borrowed $100,000 and didn't even know that they borrowed this much money. Well, they knew they did, but they didn't know what the implication would be once they sold the home. Because they're told that you can rent it. They're told that you can transfer it. They're told that you don't have to worry about the debt. And it's all not true because you do have to worry about the debt. You are renting the panels because they are leased in most cases through the PACE program. So guess what happens to a lease? What is the first thing that happens to a lease when the lease is up? You have to decide to do what?
Move out or stay.
No, you have to decide to buy it or give it back.
buy it or give it back. What happens? What do we know about technology nowadays?
Anything you bought last year is old technology.
Yeah.
Exactly. So imagine 10 years down the road. Let's say you kept your house. 10 years down the road, you think the solar panels are going to be more advanced or less advanced?
Way more advanced.
Way more advanced. So now you have to make a decision. You just paid $80,000. And now you have to give them a lump sum for the remainder of whatever that remainder is. And you're like, should I keep these panels or should I order new panels? And then you say, no, you know what? I'm not going to keep the panels. I'm just going to tell them to come pick them up. So 10 years pass by. You paid $80,000 in. You're not going to pay past the lease. They have to come get the panels. Guess what they're going to do to your roof?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you don't want the panels. Big holes in your roof. Now you got to get your roof replaced. Now, on average, because we have a roofing company, what do you think a 3,000 square foot house, what do you think the roof quote is on that? If you have to do the whole roof.
It's over 100 grand.
Oh yeah.
Not
28
that
grand.
bad.
80.
Close.
Like 28
It's
to 30
about 28 to 30
Oh,
grand.
yeah.
28 to 30 grand.
If you want a
So
metal roof,
hold on.
100 grand.
Hold on. You got 80. You just spent 80 and now you got to spend 30 because you told the solar panel, no, I don't want your product anymore. I don't understand why people do this. I don't understand what they see. I don't. I just don't.
I think I have an answer for that, right?
Please,
What is? Tell us.
please, let us know.
So PACE loan. It's a PACE loan, right? Read that for me. The highlighted part. Either one of you.
The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, otherwise known as CFPB, has suggested it wants to find a way to hold pace to similar truth in lending standards as banks and mortgage providers, likely by making providers legally liable for violating those standards. Sounds like a great idea.
So right now they're not being held to these standards. So when
First
they
of all,
wanna give
so
these
what you're
loans,
saying is they have no regulation.
there's no regulation on these loans, so they can say anything. They can give you anything to sign right now.
Oh, by the way, just so you guys know, these people that are selling these products, 20, 30, 40% commission on the
Wow.
purchase.
Yep.
And also, just reiterating what I just read from Neville's highlight is, for everyone that doesn't know, that the truth in lending standard, which is also backed by national law, says that like anyone that's going to get any kind of like real estate and get a loan for that, everything has to be disclosed. Everything is disclosed. The fees, the cost of everything down to even like a recording fee or a stamp fee. Everything is disclosed to the customer. So, and that's a huge part of truth in lending. So what PACE is doing, there's no regulation. They can not tell you anything, and then just basically lie to you.
Yeah, and look at this. Look what it says. It says most
Inside.
consumer advocates
And-
support.
Inside.
Check this out. Most consumer advocates support the concept, but do question some industry practices. That's letting you know that they're doing things wrong, and lack state regulations and oversight. Oversight? No, zero oversight. Zero oversight. That means no one's overviewing what these people are doing. So, I'll give you the perfect example. Somebody went to visit my cousin in Miami, and they tried to sell him on the fact that he's like, you want solar panels? And obviously he's spoken to me, and he's like, no, I don't want solar panels. But then they try to get in. They're like, hey, how old's your AC? Oh, well, I just bought the house, but the AC is actually 10 years old. We can replace that for you when you get the panels.
They had some kind of loan
And what about
program.
your window? It's like, yeah, these are old windows. You want to get new windows? Double pane, get that energy efficiency. Of course, listen, a great salesperson will get through the door with those things. We don't want a great salesperson. We want an honest one.
Yes.
Okay? So the motto of the story is, guys, do your research. And then if you don't want to do the research, at least call an agent, because we research this stuff. Matter of fact, when we did that last episode saved a lot of our customers. They called us and thanked us because they were like, we were thinking about getting panels. Thank you for doing that episode. That's something that is priceless. And that's why we decided to do this episode, because we wanted people to know.
Exactly. And this is another quote that I got from this, right? Polsky said the industry lobbied hard against stricter consumer protections in California, but each of the new laws reduced both complaints and lawsuits. So a new law went into California that put stricter consumer protections on them, right, for PACE loans. They said in our state, every time that new consumer protections go in, PACE initiations decrease. So that means every single time they've put more stricter consumer protections in, less people were getting PACE loans.
Yeah.
Because they had to disclose more information on these loans.
And then people weren't doing it.
And they realized this is not a good idea for me. This is not going to work for my finances. I'm going to lose in the long run.
Here goes another one. Collie County banned the program after Habitat for Humanity found 25 liens on its homes, some with alleged forged signatures.
25 liens.
Liens on their homes with alleged forged signatures.
Yep.
Says the Naples Daily News reported.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Wow.
So that's another thing. Now, last topic I want to touch on, guys, and I want to get your take on this. How do you guys feel if you guys were able or allowed to go to a house, right, of a customer that has a need, and you give them $600, but in return,
I know where we're going with this.
Well, wait,
Keep going.
but in return, you get a listing agreement for 40 years.
Did you get what he said?
You give them $600?
Yeah, so like they need some money,
Let's say,
and you give them $600.
let's say, hey Josh, let me give you $600 really quick. I know times are hard. I'm gonna give you $600 right now.
Yeah, you're hurting
okay?
right now. You're hurting.
You're hurt. That's a nice Cadillac you have there. If you ever decide to sell your Cadillac, I know you don't want to sell it right now, but if you ever decide to sell it, just for the $600, you have to say you're gonna pay me a commission on it. I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna be the one to help you sell it. I'm gonna get you top dollar, but you have to pay me this commission.
How much is the commission?
It's gonna be a standard 6%. Standard 6%. Nothing crazy. This is just if you do decide to sell it.
What's
You
the
sign
catch?
this and
What's the catch?
There's no
and
catch.
just tell me you're never gonna sell the car, or tell me you're not gonna sell it for the next year. If you say I'm not selling this car for another 3 years, that's fine. This is a 10-year contract. So anytime within the 10 years, if you decide to sell your car, I have to be the salesperson for it, and you have to pay me a 6% commission. And you can take the $600, and that's it. All I take with me is this.
But this is what happens. They were praying. So it's actually a real estate company. We can call them out because they literally filed for bankruptcy 2 weeks ago, I think. So MVR Realty, guys, if you guys know about MVR Realty, Neville doesn't like to call people out because he doesn't want to get a cease and desist. But they're gone.
That's what they were doing. So
40 years. So here's the problem. And we dealt with them, and that's why there's a civil lawsuit right now. I want to give a shout out to Moody. I think her name is Ashley Moody. She is our attorney general.
Yeah,
she actually was the one that went after them. Yeah, I think it's
was it only
Moody.
$600 or was it?
No. Some of them were cheaper.
Oh, jeez.
Some of them were cheaper. And here's the problem.
I seen was like $400 at Christmas. $400. Like
yeah, it was a lot of
before
Christmas. It was a lot of Christmas.
No,
it's not legal.
No, they were conning the heck out of them.
Yeah. So here's the problem. So you call the customer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Customer's a friend of yours and says to you, "Hey, Alex, I want to sell my house." And you'd be like, "Okay, cool. Let me put it on the market." You put it on the market, you got an offer. Then the title company calls you. "Hey, Alex, did you list this house?" "Yes." "Do you have an offer on it?" "Yes." "I have the offer here. Guess what? I just got a call from a real estate company that we got to pay them 3%. "What do you mean we got to pay them 3%? "Oh, so they had a deal with the seller that if they ever sold their house, they had to sell it. But if somebody else did sell it, they still were owed 3%.
Oh, that's how it's structured?
Yeah. So they would put liens on the properties. And so what we started to do, Eric did this, is we pulled every single property that had a lien from them. And we started to see in Point Siena alone, 109 homes.
Holy crap.
So I'm like,
how much,
so I called the legal hotline. And I said, "Hey, is this legal? This is what the attorney said. And this is not we can't give attorney advice, and they can't give attorney advice out there." It's like, took a big sigh. It's like, "Unfortunately, it is. But you shouldn't do it." That's what he told me. And I'm like, okay.
What?
Then I called our attorneys. And our attorney's like, "Stay away from it." I was like, "I'm not doing it. I'm having customer issues. How do we solve our customer issues?" "They're going to have to pay." Well, guess what, guys? This is a public service announcement. There is a civil class lawsuit against them. Hopefully, Ashley Moody was able to freeze their assets because they filed for bankruptcy. And if she did, then obviously there's money there. If she didn't, obviously there's attorneys tied to it. You could probably sue those
What's the name of the company again?
MVR Realty. MVR Realty, and they were. And I'll be honest with you, and I hate to curse on the show because it's our first show back, but there were some cocky sons of bitches. They're not cocky right now.
Oh my god!
There was
when
I called them.
oh my god!
When I called them that we're gonna get our money, I'm like, I can't believe you guys are doing this. And
Wow.
I called them out in another episode.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when I was calling them out, we did not know that this was happening, so it's kind of like an update. But did I call you about it? I know I was in the car driving. I called Ed about it because Ed had a client that wouldn't sell because of the fact that she was like, I got to pay you, I got to pay them, and I just can't afford it. So right now, you don't have to pay any of those contracts. All those contracts are dead. So if you're planning on selling and you did have a contract or MV, give us a call. We know how to get you out of them. That's why we wanted to let you guys know.
Yeah.
I've already spoken to attorneys on it. And exactly, we can actually get you money. For those of you who lost money, give us a call. We'll get you to the right department so that you can also get help from that. So that being said,
before you even go past that, when we looked at the liens, around what time of year was most of these liens?
Christmas
time.
It was December.
What were the amounts that they were giving them?
3 to 5. I saw $600. I never saw. They said they would give anywhere up to $4,000. I've never seen a $4,000 one. The $650 was the highest I saw, and that was Kenya's. $650. The one that Ed got, $300.
Wow.
So for $300,
So what they were specifically doing was completely being predatory.
Absolutely.
100%. And looking for desperate people
Yes.
around the holidays that needed money
Absolutely.
in order to con them and rip them off.
And they'll put a lien on the house. So the second that house went into escrow and the title company did their lien searches, they were notified.
Yep.
Wow.
That's the crazy part.
Yeah.
That's sad.
And that's why we call them assholes.
Yep. And they shouldn't be in our industry. Unfortunately, that's the biggest thing that we think about. Like, they should not be in our industry. And I'm glad they're out. I'm glad that we have an attorney general here in Florida who actually attacked them, because they weren't just in Florida. They were in multiple states. We only found 109 in Poinciana.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
There was way more than that. And you know how they knew that these people were in issues and they knew they were going to sell? Is they already were in Las Pendas. These people weren't even paying their mortgage.
It was something worse. It started to move to Zephyr Hills.
Yeah.
Because we had it in Zephyr Hills as well.
That's right.
I was just speaking about that client today. That's what reminded me about it.
It's just,
and that was a different company. That's not MVR Realty. That's a single guy that did that in Zephyr Hills.
Yeah, well, he tried to. What happened was same thing as me. He probably called. I called for the right reasons. I wanted to figure out how to get out of him for our clients.
Yeah.
But he probably called because he probably figured it out and said, "Hey, I could do this too. If they could do it and they say it's legal, I'll do it."
Yeah.
Well, then you know what? It's not as legal as we think, or it's predatory. So, and you really don't want to do that with your career. I think that's super. Super, I would say, very, very low integrity. Very dishonest, and your heart's not in the right place. If the goal is to help someone, the goal is not to steal from that person, and that's technically what you're doing. Because if you're forcing him to pay you, I remember I was watching the news report on it, and the lady was like, she was like, I felt like I was being held hostage from my home, like I couldn't sell my home.
Well, she pretty much was being held hostage.
You know what I like, Ray, when we got this listing, when you told the lady, what happened if I don't want to sell your house with you anymore? You said, you see that zero cancellation.
Yeah, we don't charge. If I don't sell your house, I don't want to make no money.
If you're not happy, we don't make no money.
Yeah.
There's one tagline I live by. I only work with people that want to work with me.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Absolutely. I think that's important. I think that when you align with your customer on the goal is achieved.
Yep.
The goal is achieved because everybody's in line. Unlike when you feel like that person's just not listening to you, then you have to cut them loose. Same thing with you as a customer. If you're a consumer and you feel like you're not aligning with your realtor, you need to cut them loose.
Absolutely.
And go find a realtor that you align with, even if that realtor is me. Because I'm the first to say it.
I'm laughing because I've only had to do that to one person. As far as being an agent, I was like, this client, we don't. Every conversation just felt like we were bumping heads. I just didn't understand why. And I asked another agent to help them. And this client calls me like a week later and is like, why aren't you showing me houses? I was like, no, I have this person helping you. No, I want you to show me houses. I'm like, and I told him, I said, every time we talk on the phone, it feels like we're arguing. And he's like, no, that's just how I talk.
That's crazy.
And but I like the fact that you talk back, like we have a conversation about it. And I'm like, bro, you're stressing me out. Like, we ended up closing it.
Yo, I'm gonna be honest with you. That's my relationship with this man right
that guy. That's
Really? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, let's not bring up Fazoli's. I'm just saying.
Oh man.
No, let's not do that. Don't do it. So, anyway, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you. Congratulations to our guests for being on the show for the first time. We will see you back on soon, right? Like,
And I do not work for La Rosa Realty.
Okay.
no, you do
No,
not.
he is
Am I allowed
not.
to
He's
say
not
that?
working with.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. Tell
So,
him.
so by the way, I'm Josh Gowar, and I work with Groves Capital.
There you go. And
Yes.
and Josh, give him your phone number, but we'll put it in the chat as well.
If there's any way I can help you or your family, or you have any questions in regards to any type of lending or any type of real estate, anything I can do to assist you and your family, that's what I'm here for. My cell phone number is 954-547-2076. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Josh. And then Alex, you said you knew at the beginning, but I want to let you know, you're new to having a license, but you're not new to the real estate game. You own properties, you've bought and sold. You just had a closing. Congratulations on that. And you have a closing coming up, and then you have another closing, and you have 2 properties you have to list. So you're not new to the game. Go ahead and give them your information so that if they need to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you?
Let me tell you something. If you need someone who can trust, give us a call. I'm telling you, this organization, I cannot be more happy to work. I mean, Rey, Novel, I just met this guy. I'm telling you, all these people are here to help. And every time I'm on the phone, it's just I feel every people and I reach out to every people. I don't sell you one house. I sell you 10. So it's all about family. It's all about living that, what do you call that?
Generational wealth.
Yes.
Generation Wave, that American dream.
So,
That American
and
dream.
if you have any questions, my phone is going to be there. And anytime, we're just going to go for it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think you just said something. I think that should be our next episode. The American dream.
Legacy.
Legacy.
of the American dream.
American dream. We need
You
to
wanna
talk
come
about
back for that one?
next week.
All right. So we might have Josh back on. I don't know. I got to debate that with the powers
Yeah,
that
yeah,
be.
He's got to pray about it. He's going to have to
We
pray
have,
about
we have to talk to our producers about that.
We gotta talk to our producers. Josh, they sent me some pay. We just got
man.
a press release. No, just kidding.
Dang.
Just kidding.
Man.
Just kidding. So, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Nev.
thank you for coming.
Let's let them know. Are we gonna go? Are we back on? Are we back on? Are we telling them we're back on? Because we don't want to let our fans down. We have. Your nephew's probably upset with us.
We're begging with the producers to really let us run this show the way we want to. We went public as a company, and now it's just we've blown up.
Yeah,
We have so many.
We got a lot of work. I mean,
loops we have to jump through just to get an episode out, right?
and and then people not hitting the right buttons, all that happens. So unfortunately,
the button pushers aren't pushing buttons.
aren't pushing buttons. So
I mean,
we need them to push buttons.
We may not be able to get dinner at Fazoli's afterwards.
Yeah.
No, we may not. We may not. I will not be going to dinner at Fazoli's. So that being said, thank you so much for watching.
Yes,
We
until next
appreciate
time.
you. Till next time.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Good episode.